US President Donald Trump says he will leave the White House in January if the Electoral College confirms Joe Biden as the winner of the US election. However, the president still insists he didn't lose.
For the first time since the November 3rd election, Donald Trump took questions from reporters, and he moved closer to accepting that he would only be serving one term in office. But he made it clear that if that happened, it would be a mistake.
It's going to be a very hard thing to concede because we know there was massive fraud. So as to whether or not I can get this apparatus moving this quickly, because time isn't on our side, everything else is on our side, facts are on our side. This was a massive fraud. This should never take place in this country.
So if the Electoral College does elect President-elect Joe Biden, are you not going to leave this building?
Just so you, certainly I will. Certainly I will. And you know that.
Mr. Trump continues to claim widespread voter fraud and that his legal efforts to overturn the results are in full force. So far, his campaign's lawsuits have been repeatedly dismissed or dropped.
If the media were honest and big tech was fair, this wouldn't even be a contest. And I would have won by a tremendous amount. And I did win by a tremendous amount, but it hasn't been reported yet. But people understand what's happened.
The president spoke as Americans celebrated a Thanksgiving like no other. People were told to stay away from family and friends as coronavirus infections surge.
I know this isn't the way many of us hoped we'd spend our holiday. We know that a small act of staying home is a gift to our fellow Americans. Yes, it's a personal sacrifice that each of our families can make and should make to save somebody else's life.
Despite that, millions are believed to have traveled for the holidays, and experts warn that there will be a post-Thanksgiving spike in infections.
Simon Marks joins us live in Washington, D.C. for more on this. Simon, the president making it somewhat clear that he will leave the White House, but it does seem to be that he wants to go out on his own terms.
Yes, except it doesn't work like that, does it, Steve? I mean, there are rules about this entire process. The president has lost the election. Joe Biden has won it. The election will be certified on December the 14th as Joe Biden's victory. And at that point, processes begin that will see Donald Trump leave the White House by midday on January the 20th. Very tellingly yesterday, he refused to answer a question about whether he plans to attend his successor's inauguration. There have been numerous reports over the last few weeks that he has decided that he is not going to attend the inauguration. That would be entirely unprecedented in the modern era. He also berated a reporter yesterday who pointed out that he was simply spreading falsehoods and untruths about the outcome of the election in these persistent claims that the election was rigged, in the absence of any evidence to support those claims. So this is a president who remains very brittle on that particular issue, who suggests that there is still some avenue open to him to overturn the outcome of these results. There is not. And as a result, we're heading once again into uncertain waters here. Is there going to be a point at which President Trump departs the White House and perhaps heads to what he likes to call the southern White House, Mar-a-Lago, sets up camp there and tries to create, in essence, some kind of government in waiting, an alternative power center in the United States for his supporters to coalesce around? Is he going to have a last-minute change of heart and actually adhere to the traditions and procedures that govern the transition and the handover to what will become Joe Biden's presidency? Those are big questions that are only going to be resolved between now and January the 20th.
And with the U.S. celebrating Thanksgiving under the shadow of COVID-19, did President Trump also speak about where things stand and also the progress on the front of the vaccines?
Well, he says that vaccines are going to be delivered as early as next week, and the plan is for those vaccines immediately to be distributed to frontline healthcare workers and those in the greatest degree of need of vaccines. They estimate here, the Trump administration, that 10 million Americans will have been vaccinated by the end of the year. President Trump continues to focus on vaccines as the solution to this problem, even though the vast majority of Americans won't have their opportunity to secure their jab until the middle of next year at the earliest. And so there's a stark catastrophe facing the country now. On Wednesday alone, 2,300 deaths here, more than 80,000 hospitalizations. Every day for weeks, we've had over 100,000 cases of new infections. Public health officials were warning that the country was on track to notch up 2,000 deaths a day by Christmas. That number has been reached a month earlier than the public health experts anticipated. And with this Thanksgiving holiday having seen an estimated 50 million Americans taking to the roads, more than 1 million people passing through the nation's airports on Wednesday again as they headed off for Thanksgiving holidays, from which they will have to return over the next few days. Public health officials believe that Thanksgiving here will serve as a super spreader event, and an event that President Trump has done nothing to warn Americans about. His own Centers for Disease Control told people to stay home this holiday. Millions either never heard that warning or didn't listen to it, and at no point was the president giving any instruction to the public to adhere to his own government's guidelines.
Thank you for that. Simon Marks reporting from Washington there.